I was born into a dysfunctional family in Manchester, a criminal family. Both my parents were alcoholics, so that has an effect on a kid. I'm sure some of you will know that in here. So that led to me being expelled from school, running away from home, homelessness. Then I got in trouble. I got involved with a gang in a place called Stockport in Manchester. And that's where I fell into crime. I'm not proud of that, but I did, petty theft. But I was never very good at it, so I was the one that was always caught. I was the one with the leg hanging out the window that the police officer grabbed hold of. So that led to the magistrate's court, probation, bound over to keep the peace. I didn't do any of those things that I was told to do by the system. And then I ended up in front of a magistrate's court in Manchester, and they were a little bit fed up with me. And the chap in the middle said, "You, son, are going to prison." And it was a bit of a shock. Instead of walking out and getting a fine, I went down the steps, if you're familiar with that, into a van. And I went to Risley, which was a borstal at the time called Risley. And I spent some time in there, and it affected me dramatically, really. What it did for me is just isolate me. And I was terrified of getting in trouble again. Jumping forward a little bit, I tried to work. I couldn't get a job because of a criminal record. I got a job cash in hand from a friend of my father's at the time. And as I was doing that, I saw a poster for the army. And it's there that a change took about, really. I saw a poster and it said, do you want a life of adventure? And I went to the recruiting office in Manchester and I said, the stuff on the poster with all the uniform and the stuff, I'd quite like to do that. Where do I sign? I got a quick telling off by Sergeant Major. He interviewed me and then said, "I'm sorry, son, you can't get in because you've got a criminal record." But as I was walking out, he sort of patted me on the shoulder and winked and said, "But you never know, son, if you keep trying." So I can be pretty persistent. So for the next 6 weeks, I went in and out of that same recruiting office, same conversation, same wink, same pat on the shoulder. In the end, I stropped in and said, "Stop patting me on the shoulder, stop winking, can I get in or not?" I was then interviewed by an officer, a major, and the major said to me, "We've been watching you, son, for a while now, and I'm going to take a chance on you. Do not let me down, son." And it was that opportunity, that second chance that officer gave me, wherever he is now, he may be dead, that changed my life. That made me then go into the military, the army, and I spent the next 17 years in the military, which basically saved my life. Not very good morally, but as a good soldier, I did Northern Ireland, the Falklands, and that sort of thing. So that was always in my head about a second chance, giving someone a break, and that officer did. And as I said, it changed my life. I then had my second point of contact, I suppose, was around about the age of 40. A few things had happened in my life, which I'm not massively proud of, but they just did. And then I had a bit of an epiphany. I walked into a church in central London called Holy Trinity Brompton, and I did a course called Alpha. It was an introduction to the Christian faith. Both my parents were atheists. I was an atheist for 40 years. And for me, I found some solace in that church and the people that were in there, and I did this course. And I became a Christian. I gave my life to Christ, and if you're up there and all this is true and you can help me, then let's go for it. That was my prayer, Bishop. Not very holy, I'm sure. And again, and that was another thing that happened to me, and that got me involved in the gospel, that got me involved in redemption, that got me involved in forgiveness, which I didn't know. And then what happened then is I got invited to come on the staff of Holy Trinity Brompton as a pastor, and I took the Alpha course into the prison system. So for the next 25 years, really, 22 ordained, I was in the prison system developing the Alpha course with the chaplaincies, and that's why the Caring for Ex-Offenders charity was founded, to help the men and women when they come out. Leaving that now, then I have a relationship with Sir Malcolm Walker and the family, the Walker family, who own Iceland, and the founder of Iceland. And I chatted with him, and really, a long story short, he just said, "I'd like to do something for men and women in prison. I'd like a legacy, actually, for the Iceland Foundation, the charity, to do something." And I said, "Well, this is what you need to do." I gave him a list of everything you need to do if you're going to do it properly and professionally and don't mess about with it. And he said, "That's fantastic. When can you start?" I wasn't expecting the job. The list I gave was for someone else, but I ended up getting the list that I put in front of him. And I came aboard as Director of Rehabilitation for Iceland Foods. And I'm very aware that we are the new kids on the block. About 22 years ago, I put a conference on to engage the church in helping men and women when they come out of prison, and I felt like I was on my own. And then I had a very young Lord Timpson come and speak at that, and he spoke at a seminar there, and I was inspired. I'm not saying that because he was here. I felt he was the only other person that was excited about helping ex-offenders, and that started me on the justice system. Iceland's now, as I've done 1,000+ interviews face-to-face in the last 22 months. We've given 650 letters of offers for jobs, and we've got about 370 now employed as retail assistants and home delivery drivers. And it's going well, but we need to do more.
Brilliant. Thank you.